Okay, it is 5:34 on Wednesday, June 17th. I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Palo Alto City Council. If the clerk would please take the roll.
Councilmember Cormack.
Here.
Vice Mayor Du Bois.
Here.
Councilmember Philseth.
Here.
Mayor Fine.
Here.
Councilmember Nis.
Here.
Councilmember Koo.
Here.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Here.
7 present.
Thank you very much. Our first order is oral communications, where any member of the public may speak to an item not on the agenda. So if you would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda, please raise your hand. And if the clerk would please help me help these folks provide their comments.
Sure, Mayor Fine. Any speaker that wishes to speak on oral communications, please raise your hand at this time. You will be given 2 minutes. And at this time, we have 2 speakers, Fred Kohler and Oniza. Mr. Kohler, go ahead. You have 2 minutes. You may need to unmute from your side, Mr. Kohler. There you go. You have 2 minutes.
This is Fred Kohler from University South. I'm disappointed to learn that the council is considering shortening the proposed lease term for Coverly from 54 months to 30 months. The proposed lease has been public for weeks and has been approved by PAUSD. Without public discussion, the council has proposed changing the terms. In the interest of transparency, the council should hold off on forcing this through without considering the downsides of the instability caused by a short-term lease. The small cost of continuing the month-to-month lease for 2 months while the issues are aired out is a small price to pay for good governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kohler. Our next speaker is Oniza. Oniza, you have 2 minutes. Go ahead. Oniza, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to say thank you again for hearing us out every single time there's a city council meeting, but I wanted to point out that the oral communications time yesterday was changed from 6 to 5, and there were a couple people who wanted to call and speak during that time, and I might be missing some information. So but I think there should be some sort of indication on the website or something that these times are changing, so that we don't have to like download the agenda and update all the time. You know, I just think a little more transparency on when we're allowed to speak would be good. But I do appreciate that we are allowed to, and I just wanted to call in and mention that because it's a little hard to get people who want to speak up when times are changing, and it's a little confusing. Thank you.
Beth, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. The
There
baby was talking. Oniza, the city clerk's office does make the changes, and we do send out a Gov delivery notice to about 2,200 people listing all the changes. If you'd like to do that, it is listed on our webpage. Thank you very much. Mayor, there are no other speakers for oral communications.
Okay, thank you very much. I see one more hand. Let's go to Mr. Ehrman.
Our next speaker is Jonathan Ehrman. Jonathan, you have 2 minutes on oral communications. Anything not on the agenda?
If I wanted to speak about the lease agreement, I can speak about that on the agenda item?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
There are no others, Mayor.
Okay, let's move on to our one and only item of business for tonight. Let me just read the title. Conference with real property negotiators. The property is the Coverly Conveyance property and lease site at 4,000 Middlefield Road. Negotiators include the said city parties, the City of Palo Alto, and PAUSD. I assume we're going to have a few speakers on that, as somebody just mentioned, so let's maybe first go to the public.
Anybody wishing to speak on the closed session regarding Cubberley, please raise your hands. You will have 2 minutes. Our first speaker will be Jonathan Ehrman, to be followed by Lenore Delgado, and then Jeremy Ehrman. Jonathan, go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Great. Am I unmuted? Hi, thanks.
Yes.
I just wanted, from the city website, I just wanted to, when you go to the Cubberley Community Center page, this is what you get. Located in South Palo Alto, the Cubberley Community Center is a unique facility which has been operated by the City of Palo Alto since 1990. Space is available for rent by the hour, either one time or on a regular basis for community meetings, seminars, social events, dances, theater performances, music rehearsals, and athletic events. The Cubberley Community Center is also home to organizations that provide many services to the community in areas of education, health, childcare, arts, dance, and music instruction. And then there are instructions for how you go about renting rooms. Just want to say again, I think this idea of splitting up the music and theater building between different landlords is nutty. I mean, the city is already covering maintenance costs. I've been told that, that still whoever is managing the theater will also manage those rooms if people are renting them. Supposedly it won't be a problem because the city, the school district, after saying in print they have no interest in renting stuff, is now we're being assured that, well, it'll be just fine like normal because they'll rent the rooms, and so it'll all continue fine and normal. But if they're renting it, what is the point of having different landlords? Why can't you find an agreement where you administer it and the school district gets some sort of a benefit? It seems very strange. And when both sides, say conflicting things, how do we know that the facility will continue to be available to members of the public who wish to use it when the time comes? Because obviously right now nobody is renting rooms or gathering in spaces, and it makes sense that the school district, if they could make use of some of that space, that's great. But we have to look ahead and realize that at some point we're going to be getting together again in spaces, and community space, community facilities are of an incredible importance, not just to the city, but to everyone, because it's what brings everyone together in all kinds of different ways. And we got to make sure we're not getting rid of that.
Thank you, Jonathan. Our next speaker is Lenore Delgado, to be followed by Jeremy Ehrman. Lenore, go ahead. You have 2 minutes. You may need to unmute from your side.
Okay, I did.
There you go. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I will be brief. My name is Leonor Delgado, and I'm a Palo Alto resident, as well as someone who works for an organization that is currently housed in the B wing of Cubberley Community Center. I'm the education manager for Palo Alto Humane Society, or PAWS, a long-standing Palo Alto and Mid-Peninsula nonprofit institution that this month will celebrate 112 years focusing on advocacy for animals and the people who are concerned about them, veterinary care and rescue for stray animals, veterinary care for the pets of low-income community residents, and a wide variety of online and in-person programs to educate people of all ages about the animals in our community and beyond. I want to underscore that what I am about to say reflects my own personal concerns about the health and safety of all of us at PAWS, as well as my own personal concerns about the future of PAWS, given recent decisions about evicting nonprofits and other organizations from Cubberley. It may or may not reflect the thoughts and opinions of my coworkers and others at PAWS. My overriding concerns are: 1, that eviction at this point in time will endanger all of us employed at PAWS. According to the guidelines of the Santa Clara County Board of Health, we are in a very high-risk group for COVID-19, and we should continue to shelter in place and work from home as we have been doing. The act of moving would put each one of us in danger. It is unfathomable to me that the city manager's office and the school board would take deliberate action to endanger residents of Palo Alto and contradict its own county's guidelines. And 2, that eviction at this point could be tantamount to destroying our organization or setting us back tremendously in terms of our programs and goals. At least one other nonprofit has publicly stated in Palo Alto Online that eviction from Coverly will kill their organization. I ask,
Thank you, Lenore, your time is up.
may I please finish, please?
Finish up quickly.
Okay, I ask, what is so important in the grand scheme of things to warrant evictions at this time? Everyone cries out money, but money is relative. Our view of financial issues is tempered by our worldview. What is the worldview of the city manager and the school board that places people, nonprofits, and community at the bottom rung
Please
and
sum up, Lenore.
unnecessary public works that enrich a few developers at the top of the heap? Don't community members and
Thank you, Lenore.
out for more in the grand scheme of things? Thank you.
And our final speaker at this time is Jeremy Ehrman. Jeremy, go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
You're a little warbly, but we can hear you.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can. Okay.
You cut out, Jeremy.
Hold on. Sorry, can you hear me?
You're breaking and cutting in and out.
Let me try one thing. Hold on.
Let's maybe
Sorry,
pause
is it better?
for a minute.
No, it's no better, Jeremy.
Mr. Ehrman, it's not the best signal, but maybe if you want to try and give your comment, we'll try our best to listen.
Hold on. Can you hear me now? Is that any better?
No, but why don't you go ahead and try and give us your comments?
Okay. I emailed this earlier as well. Separating Coverly's theater and M rooms in the city and the school district will cause confusion for groups trying to rent the theater and backstage dressing rooms. The M rooms were built to be music and theater rooms and form one facility with the theater. I urge you to keep the theater and M rooms together in Coverly lease to maximize their benefit to the community and avoid hardship for groups that have performed there for years, such as the Palo Alto Chamber Orchestra and the Palo Alto Philharmonic. Requiring people to go through both the city and the school district to rent the theater and M rooms together or to rent rooms on different sides of Coverly at once seems confusing and inefficient. The city has already said it will continue handling maintenance and utilities for the entire Coverly campus, since you already have people in place who know what they're doing and then receive reimbursement from the school district. It would seem to make sense then for the city to continue handling rentals for the entire campus and even other administrative functions. If the school district occupies part of the campus and the city pays less, it still makes sense for the city to administer the whole facility. I think most Coverly classrooms are usually rented during non-school hours, so it seems that the school district, the city, and the community should be able to share these rooms to everyone's satisfaction. Please remember that Coverly's purpose is to serve the community, regardless of who owns the land or administers it. Please don't base this lease solely on financial panic. Please keep the community in mind as you decide the future of Coverly Community Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Mayor Fine, that ends our public speakers.
Okay, we now return to council. And as you all know, we have this one item for the night, a closed session item. Happy to entertain any motions.
Glad to move to closed session.
So we have a motion to go into closed session by Councilmember Niss. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Cormack. Is there any discussion on this motion? Councilmember Niss, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, I think as usual, because we are discussing real estate and I'm reasonably sure, looking at Molly at the same time, that this comes under the headings of those issues which we are allowed to take up in closed session.
Councilmember Cormack, would you like to speak to your second?
No, thank you.
Okay. If there are any other comments on this, please raise your hand. Councilmember Koo. I think you're on mute.
This mute. I appreciate what Councilmember Nis said about that this is real estate transaction, so it should go into closed session. However, I was just wondering, what are the opportunities for this to be discussed in public? Palo Alto Unified School District discusses this transaction in their open sessions. So I'm just trying to understand, since most of it is already out on the table, why can't we just do that out in public?
Mr. City Manager.
Sure, if I might, Mr. Mayor, thank you, Councilmember Koo. I think we scheduled this session as a closed session to enable the council to talk about the real estate negotiation at the conclusion of the session. If the council chooses, it could be reported out in terms of any reportable action. So that's the way we set up the agenda, and hopefully that meets your needs.
I mean, I just find that, there's really very little not to discuss in public at this point, since most of it is already out. I mean, it's just the last point of whether we're going to really appropriate the funding in order to support the community services, or are we just going to continue on with reducing community services? And anyways, I just think that this might be an opportunity to actually have something discussed in public, just like what Palo Alto Unified School District does. But it's scheduled, so like you said, if it's reportable, it's reportable.
Thank you, Councilmember Koo. Any other comments? Councilmember Tanaka.
Yeah, I was thinking what would really be good is for us to actually have a joint session with the school board to talk about this versus us talk, they talk, takes a long time. So I don't know if that's somewhere on the agenda eventually, but to me it seems to make sense.
So I did speak with the city manager this morning, and I think, we are right now preoccupied with many budget decisions and other policy decisions on council, but I think it probably would behoove us in the school district to get together at some point over the summer or fall to discuss Cumberland and other items. So understood and heard on that. Okay, continuing our process for this week, we'll vote in reverse order. So on the motion to go into closed session, Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Koo.
Yes.
Councilmember Nis.
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Councilmember Filseth.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Du Bois.
Yes.
Councilmember Cormack.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all very much. I believe this item is scheduled for about an hour, so we should be back out here at about 6:50 or so. Thank you all very much. Okay, given it's coming up on 7 p.m. and we do have a quorum, council has returned from closed session and we do have a reportable action. Based on feedback from school officials and in continued partnership with the district, council chose to unanimously endorse returning to the city council next week to place the 54-month lease agreement with PAUSD for approval on the consent calendar. The city council is legally not able to approve this lease agreement in a closed session discussion. The city council appreciates the district's cooperation and flexibility. Please note that the child care lease was approved on Monday, 6-15. So that concludes our one item for the night. Anything else from staff? All right. With that, it is 7 p.m. and we are adjourned. Thank you all for the third meeting of this week. See you all next week.
See you guys.
Thank you.